training. To address our unique driving environment, we have condensed our driving safety guidelines into what we refer to as the 5 cardinal rules. We need special rules because the vehicles are huge. A normal man standing next to a haul truck only comes up to the axle. The tires are almost 12 feet tall. These trucks are over 30 feet wide and over 40 feet long. That's a footprint of 1,200 square feet. When you add the fact that the driver's cab sits over 20 feet off the ground, basically what you have is a 2,400 square foot 2-story house driving down the road. Oh, and by the way, the house weighs over 400 tons. That's why the first cardinal rule is that the haul truck always has the right of way. Not usually or most of the time, but always. If a 400-ton truck the size of a 2-story house is barreling down the road toward you, yielding the right of way is probably a pretty good idea. One of the first things you'll probably notice when you're in the mine is how wide the roads are, and the intersections are even wider. Don't make the mistake of thinking the roads are wide to accommodate you. These roads are wide to accommodate haul trucks that are 5 times wider than your vehicle and can have a turning radius of several hundred feet. Just because a haul truck swings to the right at an intersection doesn't necessarily mean it is turning to the right. It may need the additional room just to make a left-hand turn. Experience has shown that a majority of accidents occur at or near intersections. That's where you need to be the most alert. Which brings us to the second cardinal rule: never pass a haul truck at an intersection. Intersections frequently signal the start of special hauling, crossover, and traffic patterns. Which brings us to the next cardinal rule: never pass a haul truck on the blind side without communicating your intentions. On every side of each haul truck is an equipment number. If you need to pass on the blind side, use your radio to call the driver using the truck number to let the driver know what you want to do. Only when the driver gives you the go-ahead can you actually pass. After passing the haul truck, get back into the driver's view as soon as it is safe. This will keep the driver concentrating on their driving and not worrying about where you are. And there is plenty to concentrate on when driving at Kennecott Bingham Canyon Mine. Not the least of which involves reacting to changing weather and road conditions. Which brings us to the fourth cardinal rule: drive according to changing conditions. Just because the roads are wider here, don't think that they are less dangerous. Limited visibility, slick roads, and huge equipment, it could be a recipe for a serious accident. And finally, never park in front of or behind a haul truck. Because the driver is seated over 20 feet high on one corner of these massive trucks, the blind spot on a haul truck is huge, much larger than a football field. In fact, the blind spot of a haul truck looks like this. If you are within this area, you are invisible. Not difficult to see, not in and out of view, but invisible. The bottom line is, if you're not sure where to park, don't. Use your radio. Communicate with the haul truck driver. Because many of the mine walls are steep and some over 50 feet high, erosion, vibration from equipment, or jarring from blasting can make these high walls dangerous. You may never work or park equipment next to a high wall without authorization. When near a high wall, never turn your back to the wall. Inspect it carefully before you begin your task by looking for dust, tension cracks, loose, overhanging, or raveling rocks. Listen for falling rocks or popping or cracking noises. Just as equipment above you can compromise a wall, your activities can compromise a wall below you. Be aware of people above and below you and always maintain an escape route. In order to break the rock in manageable sizes, we blast twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. At any given time, you may see drills working around the mine drilling a series of holes into which carefully measured amounts of explosives are poured. Only specially trained and authorized personnel may handle explosives. These explosives are then activated from a safe distance by blast cord. Before each blast, a siren is activated and a mine-wide announcement is made on the mine radio frequencies. Respect radio courtesy and stay off the radio immediately before and during blasting. Because of the critical and potentially dangerous nature of blasting, you may never enter a blast pattern without permission. In fact, we have a standoff rule which requires you to stay at least 50 feet away from blast demarcated areas at all times. During a blast, all personnel must be a minimum of 1,500 feet away from the blast area. And remember to monitor the walls around you. A blast on one side of the mine can loosen rocks on the opposite side of the mine. Again, maintain constant awareness of your surroundings.